All right, guys, we are live. Oh my goodness, this is our Maximize Genetics 101 Lunch and Learn. This is Chad Yarbrough from MaxGen.
MaxGen Labs.
All right, I am thrilled to death. While you guys are logging on, we are going to do a few little housekeeping things real quick. We've got a good crowd in here today. It's Labor Day. I know this is not the ideal day for everyone, but those that are meant to be here are here. So that's why we're doing this live. We have got Chad Yarbrough in the house, and I'm thrilled to death. I've known him. Hey, Bonnie. Hey, Bonnie. We graduated high school together.
Oh, cool.
30-something years ago. Can you believe it? Good Lord. Anyway, we've got Chad Yarbrough here he's a chiropractor. I've known Chad for a long time.
Years.
We met through our mutual friend, Paige Adams. So Paige Adams would be so proud of you. I am so thrilled. He's a chiropractor, and he is the founder and the owner, correct? Or co-owner? I'm not quite sure. Co-owner of MaxGen, which is a genetic testing company and a swab test. And we got our results back today in this office on all of us. And so we've been laughing prior to you all logging on here about how messed up we are genetically at Integrative Family Medicine. So we're not to blame for what happens around here, because apparently it's our parents' fault in here. We're going to go through mine personally today and see, because I haven't looked at it. So I'm excited. Chad's going to discuss his vision for the company, what he does, the genetic testing that they do, the weight loss panels, the nutrition panels, the metabolic panels, correct? And then one lucky person in here today is going to win a kit, right? So we're happy about that. And then we are going to be selling his kits for exactly the same price that he sells on his website, correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to let Chad talk now. Next Friday at 11 o'clock, for those of you that are still logging on, as you get logged on, hit your like buttons, hit your heart buttons so we know you're there. Next Friday at 11 o'clock, we've got a yoni steaming 101 with the herbalist in here. So we're going to be discussing yoni steaming. You're welcome to be here.
Might miss that one.
You need to steam your yoni. And the herbalist, Emmy Huddleston, who formulated our herbs, organic or herbs and non-GMO herbs, is going to be here from Colorado discussing yoni steaming and the benefits of yoni steaming through the generations and all the history of yoni steaming. So that's going to be exciting, and we're going to be touring the yoni room upstairs as well. So we're going to get started right here. You guys are logged on. Say hello, ask your questions. We will answer any questions afterwards that you have. And I'm going to move out of the way and let Chad take it over. I'm excited that you're here.
Yeah, me too.
Do you have a copy of mine? Yes, you do.
Yeah, I didn't.
All right.
Good one. So Maximize Genetics, now MaxGen, was created by physicians. A lot of us saw a lot of autism, chronic fatigue syndrome, autoimmune parents. And we use a lot of 23andMe, other labs like that. And we really started to get kind of gun shy based on their privacy policies and what they were doing with their patients' data. 23andMe is actually owned by, I think, Pfizer now. And a lot of these others like Ancestry, these things they're data mining companies. They give you a cool little ancestry report, maybe a little bit of a health report and a risk report in exchange for DNA, and then they sell it on the back end. That's how they're able to actually give you these things at under $100 or $100 to $200. So if you do those, or if you have done those, you might want to call and request and have your data deleted from their systems. I don't know if that's going to really help much, but this is some important data about yourself that's out there, and I don't really know what people are going to be able to do with it in the future. So we created our own. There were some missing holes in some of 23andMe's testing, and we wanted to get everything that we wanted. So we put what we wanted into a panel and decided we weren't going to sell our patients' data for money. So that's kind of how we were created. We were still a very small company. We've been in business for about a year. We've had exponential growth, I think, because people they want to protect their privacy and they want to have a good report. I think our report is one of the best on the markets by far, in my opinion. I might be a little biased, but I think it's pretty good. So that's kind of how we came to be. And we're based out of Houston. My co-business partner, Haley Hurd, is down there. She works at now MaxGen centers. We have centers now. She's primarily sees autism and autoimmunity. Very cool clinic down there. She's very, very busy now. Wish she wasn't so busy. She's watching. Actually, she's probably busy. I think she had 11 o'clock, so she's not on the video. You can watch us, follow us on Facebook too. We have every Tuesday night, we do similar things like Dani does on your Sunday night service with Dr. Motley.
Yep.
I love that thing. But so normally I start off talking with the types of genetic testing, and there's really, in my opinion, there's kind of 4 main types. One, you have your ancestry testing, like everyone tends to know about, 23andMe, Ancestry DNA. Like I said, those are mainly kind of data mining companies. And there's some legislation right now going through. They're trying to limit and be more clear about what they do with your data. That's what I don't really like about them. The other one you have is medical genetics, where they're looking at diseases like Huntington's and Down syndrome and some of the genetic diseases that we see. That's not what we do, not at all. And you have a third one that's pharmacogenetic, where we're looking at disease, drugs and how the drugs might help you in different situations. A lot of psychiatrists use some of the pharmacogenetic testing. We don't really do that either. The FDA is pretty strict on what you do there, and we try to fix things without using drugs. We try to get at the root cause. And the things that we check, we try to make sure there's some type of actionable step that we can do to move you forward. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless for me to genotype it out and look at it. So everything that we look at is actionable. There's research that backs it, and we've personally reviewed it and read it. We have a team of 2 PhDs and 3 MDs or 3 DCs. So we've all reviewed it, and we get a lot of contribution too from other physicians. So Dani, as you read our reports and implement them, you can always call me and be, hey, I don't know if I really like this, or hey, I really like this, or can we add this in? We can do it on the fly.
Okay,
so
good.
We have control of all of that. Or if you want to snip, if you're in a conference and someone's talking about, some snip, you're like, this is really cool. Call me up, take notes, give it to me. It may be something we haven't seen yet. And we have a lot of stuff in the works coming. A lot.
Cool.
Good.
So you're going to add more testing?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we got a lot. We have a lot of plans, a lot of good plans. So the fourth, and this is kind of where we function, is kind of what I like to call functional genetics, where we're looking at different enzyme pathways, proteins and how they work in your body, and different little genetic mutations that might change the way they function, like MAOA or COMT. These enzymes that I'm talking about, they break down our neurotransmitters. And if they don't break them down fast enough, we may get real anxious and anxiety. And that's where a lot of anxiety comes from. So there's things we can do to help with those people, help get that enzyme functioning better. Of course, everyone knows about MTHFR nowadays. It's in the folate pathway. It feeds the methylation cycle with methylfolate. That's kind of the big one that everyone's wanting to look at. We actually have probably the most thorough MTHFR panel on the market. It's an add-on test. It checks for 27 different variations in the gene, many of which are pathogenic. Very rare. I'm not going to see them ever, but if you do, you're a carrier. It's not really a bad thing to have. It's really not good. But there are some that are more prevalent, maybe around 2% of the population that we've seen, that are very severe, can cause more issues just outside of the C677T and the 1298 that everyone knows about. And also, a lot of people will go out and get tested for MTHFR. There's the 2 variants, 677. Does anybody know about that? Who's heard of that? Most everybody, for the most part. So a lot of people just run that test alone. It's just 2 SNPs, and a lot of times cash rates on those are around $100. Sometimes if you try to run it through insurance, it might get covered.
No, it won't get covered. It's considered experimental. So I used to run it all the time at Cool Springs, all the time, because it used to get covered. Now it does not. I do not run it because it's several $100s.
Yep.
And I tell people, good Lord, you can go do a full genetic panel, cheaper than the fact what you're going to get. You're going to get a big bill from Quest Labs.
Big bill.
Yes.
And I've seen bills upwards of $1,800
You
to
bet.
$2,000.
Just for MTHFR.
Just for two of them.
Yep.
I think you can get everything from us. Everything we offer for around $300. It's probably around 160, 180 SNPs. But as a comparison, you can see. So we mainly have 2 main panels that we have right now. One is more for food. We're renaming it Max Food. It's food. It's mainly for weight loss. It talks some things you can do, what kind of fats you might want, how sensitive you are to carbohydrates. A lot of people are big on this new keto diet. You know, we're eating a lot of fat. Some people don't respond well to keto. We look at some of the genes in that, and we might be able to predict that. So before you do keto, you might want to look at one of our tests and maybe consider doing it before you try it. There's a lot of ways you can lose weight that we look at. Different types of fat, saturated fat. Some people are really sensitive to that. Some people aren't. I know Haley, and I'm going to talk about Haley. She actually went through the research on this one and pretty much wrote this report out, the weight loss and the Max Food report. And we're going to go through it in a minute. And she read all the research on it because she's kind of struggled with quite a bit of weight gain over the last couple of years. And she ended up being sensitive to having a gene that made her sensitive to saturated fat. So things like coconut oil, which we think is great. And it is great. It is great. It's great stuff. But in some people.
I have that gene.
Do you?
Well, yeah, I'm looking ahead here. It says you are genetically sensitive to saturated fats. This means you should avoid them whenever possible.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, not everybody, it's good. It is good. Coconut oil is great, but in moderation in some people. You know, that's kind of what we're looking at. And these are genetic tendencies. These are not definitives. You know, if you get this, it is not a doomsday thing at all. These are your tendencies. So it might give someone like a practitioner like Dani, hey, maybe we need to check your RBC folate levels. Maybe we need to do a methylmalonic acid. Maybe we should watch your GI tract, see what's going on there. It gives us windows into how your body is potentially going to function now and in the future. So it really helps us out as practitioners. It really helped me out. That and organic acid testing together, that was my practice. I love it. And environmental toxin testing. Are you doing any of that yet?
No, we're just focusing on guts right now. I mean, guts are full force for us.
Guts are huge.
Yes.
Guts are huge.
Yeah. We need a nurse before we get into, okay, let's keep going.
Let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling. So that panel is really, really good. Haley herself, after starting to watch her amount of saturated fat, has lost over 100 pounds in the last.
She looks amazing. You should see her before and after picture on their website. It's incredible.
It really is great for us to actually see that.
And I also saw somebody comment on your website, on your Facebook Live, that they too have lost. Finally, they were never able to lose weight by exercise and diet. They could never figure it out. They were eating clean. But when they saw these results, they've dropped like 60 or 70 pounds. I can't remember who it was, but somebody commented on it last week during one of your lives.
Did they? I didn't see that.
Yeah, I did.
We have people comment all the time. I've had 2 people come up to me on the street in Nashville and thank me for these things. And they're like, I've lost 20 pounds and I've never been able to lose weight, or I've lost 50 pounds. Someone commented on a post today, they lost 150 pounds after following some of the recommendations on these panels. These things work. They really do work. And Haley did an amazing job at that panel, writing the content out on it that comes out. It's really a fantastic panel. And I believe, I forget how much it is.
Which page? It's right here. It's right here. These are the prices that you gave us. Those are the wrong prices. They're going up.
It's like $175. Yeah.
Okay, so I knew they were going up, but I wasn't quite sure. So then we need to know that for sure.
It's in. I got a thing for you over there.
Okay.
That panel is $150 or $175.
Okay.
It's a no-brainer. These things can influence the rest of your life. It really can make some drastic changes, especially if you're having trouble with weight. In that panel, there's also some GI markers like MYO9B. A couple people in your office tested for this one. MYO9B is extremely connected with gluten sensitivity, ulcerative colitis, and Crohn's disease. So when these things pop up, me and my sister, you pretty much have to go gluten-free. And oddly enough, my mom has had ulcerative colitis and has a colostomy bag, had a whole colon removed. So we carry that gene in my family. And when I see that, you have to go gluten-free, even if you're not symptomatic. And my sister really wasn't, in her opinion, she wasn't symptomatic, but when she pulled gluten, she's doing a whole lot better in all kinds of different areas. So really, I'm kind of, Dani may stab me for saying this, but I've kind of got away in practice. I don't really practice anymore because MaxGen takes up all of my time. I kind of got away from doing a lot of the food sensitivity testing and looking more at some of these genetic markers for gluten and dairy. It seems to work really well. There's just some dairy markers, and in the combo panels, we actually have a peanut marker too. So that's kind of a neat little additional thing. But then the next panel we have is more of a detox. We're calling it the max function test. This is how your body's functioning. We look at neurotransmitters, oxidative stress like glutathione. And if you ever listen to Dani, she'll always talk about glutathione. So we look at glutathione production, gut function, methylation, folate, B12, different types of B12. And how many people know that there's different types of B12? Like methyl, hydroxo, adenosol. We look at all of those and try to give you kind of an indication of which one you might want to go. I've got another business partner that I work with. His name's Tyler, and probably shouldn't say his name. He didn't care. Tyler, really cool guy. He's actually two things with this guy. He works out in the gym. He does a good job. He's pretty big. He's quite a bit bigger than me. He came in one day and I'm like, "You look leaner." He goes, "Yeah, I've lost 10 pounds since I started following the diet plan from the thing." And I go, "Really? You didn't really have 10 pounds to lose?" And he goes, "Oh no, I did. I'm shredded now." So not only is this good for people who struggle with weight, it's also good for people who are trying to trim up for the summer and bikini season, even if you're not that overweight. I probably need to look at mine a little more. But he also kind of had a little bit of some anxiety stuff going on, and he tested for MTHFR 677, the more severe one. And we put him on a methyl B12 spray and methyl folate spray. And he said that he couldn't go without it now. It's completely changed his life just by flipping into a different type of folate and different type of B12. Mm-hmm. And Dani carries some of these, the B Active. What all have you got?
The neuroamine cream, B Active, Methyl Care, which I love, which is for homocysteine. Yeah, all great.
And these things, if you get these genes, the MTHFR genes, that's something you want to watch is the homocysteine level. And Dani can order that. If you really want to dig deep, you can do SAM-SAW ratios. HDRI Labs does that. So does Doctors Data. Those are some biggies. And there's a research study out of the University of Arkansas that connects the SAM-SAW ratios in mothers to probability of having spectrum children. It's pretty significant too. And what really even doubled the amounts, I think it was a 40-fold increased risk when the SAM-SAW ratio was off. So they're not methylating. They've got the methylation markers. They're not methylating at all. In addition to low glutathione, 40-fold increased risk for a spectrum child. So that was something I looked at a lot when I was dealing with preconception, was looking at the genetics and then looking at these markers too. This is all something, Dani, they can all do that here for you. See what else is on that panel. A lot of oxidative stress. I'm a big fan of oxidative stress. I think that's kind of the root of all evil, more than anything, really, in my opinion. We look at a lot of antioxidants, a lot of vitamins, but that's the function test. And then you can get both of them together. And then there's some confusion. I'm going to kind of clear this up now. We have an additional MTHFR test. It says, I think we're calling it Advanced MTHFR Panel. This is an add-on test. This is not a standalone test. This is to add on if you want to have more info on the MTHFR and folate genes. These are just more pathogenic. They're more severe. You're less likely to get a hit on one of these. So if if money's kind of an issue, I wouldn't run it. But if you really want the data and you want to look at these, it's something that some people asked for, so we went ahead and made it available. And it is a really pretty cool little test. The report doesn't give you a lot of info like our other reports do, but it does tell you whether or not you carry any of these more severe forms of MTHFR. So it is not a standalone test. It is an add-on. You want to run through yours?
Let's go through this, because this is the combo test, right? Was this the combo?
This is the combo.
This is the test that most people would probably run because the price point is so much better, I think, than anything else on the market. And it covers all of that, what you just talked about, correct?
Everything.
So let's go through mine.
Okay.
Can you hand me mine?
Yeah.
It's on the table right behind me, so I can look while you're talking. Sorry, I should be right at that.
It's all good.
All right, so
our prices are going up. We've had to expand the amount of volume that we're doing right now, as we've had to hire on quite a few more people and our overhead's gone up. We've tried to keep our prices as low as possible. We've done a good job at it, being competitive with some of the other guys that are selling your data. And that's something else. We will not sell your data. You would have to have physical access to my laptop and access to our servers in Houston just to be able to even get a raw data file. And even then, no one knows what to do with it. You'd have to have our programs. So we are Fort Knox of genetic testing. We have Chase Banks people build out our background or back end. So no one's getting into our stuff.
Good.
Ever.
All right, let's tell them what they get.
And even if someone offered me $1 million, I'm not going to give up your data. I like to sleep at night. And I'm not a very good salesperson. I really like what I do because our product is that good. It is affordable, and I can pay my bills and I can sleep. I like it. I like being ethical. So on the combo test, one thing too on the combo, when we did it, we actually now have a little extra more room because there was some overlap between the two tests. So you actually get 7 extra SNPs on the combo panel that you would not get on the other panels by themselves. So there's a little extra thing on the combo. So the first page is on carbohydrate sensitivity. This looks at if you're sensitive to carbs or not. You know, some people actually the research says they might actually be able to lose weight on a high carbohydrate diet. I wish that was me. I love carbs. But some people do very good on a low carb diet. So this just kind of goes into that and gives you some information on weight loss, along with some diabetes and blood sugar risk. So if diabetes might be something you want to watch, whether you want to watch your blood sugar going forward in life. It's a really good page. They all
So
are.
I'm genetically sensitive to refined carbs.
Yeah,
I should avoid highly refined carbs such as breads, pastas, and processed foods. Everybody should avoid refined carbs, I'm telling you, but I've got genetics towards it, so there you go.
and most people do. Though that's actually the wild type. So when we're looking at genetics too, this is actually a good point.
Okay.
When we look at genetics, we look at whether you are a wild type or what we call a variant. And the variants are just what's found least in nature. So if you look at our reports and we say you have a wild type just means you're average for, you have what everyone else has.
Okay.
The variants are differing from, 0.0002% to like 30% or 40%. So it's kind of,
Right.
each one's a little different. There is no set thing. And a lot of companies will report these out red, yellow, green. Red being you've got the variant. That's not always a bad thing. And being wild type is not always a good thing. In the case of this, you are sensitive to carbohydrates, but you're wild type because that's what's found most in nature because most people are actually sensitive to carbohydrates. So that wouldn't be flagged as red.
Right.
So we actually moved our reporting software over to shades of blue. So you don't get a report from us with like a bunch of red and colors and people are like, oh my God, I'm dying. You're not. So we went to shades of blue to kind of lower that. The next page, we do a lot on fats. So monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, and saturated fats. These are all different types of fats. They're found in different types of foods. You can look these up. There's actually a little bit of a list here of which ones are what you might want to avoid or try not to. Let's see what Dani's got. You would not benefit. You would benefit more from eating more polyunsaturated fats like salmon and sunflower seeds, things like that.
Well, good.
And you are genetically sensitive to saturated fat. So in this case, in keto, some people do a lot of saturated fats, bacon, eating coconut oil, which coconut oil, like we talked about earlier, it's good, but you might want to just kind of limit it. You might do better on that if you had weight issues, which you don't. So
She totally does.
yeah,
It's all that coconut oil.
all that coconut oil.
Coconut oil dries me out, my skin.
Does it?
Dries me out. Everybody else does fabulous with coconut oil. I put it on me and I am as flaky as anything. And interesting, I've never used coconut oil.
Interesting.
But I used to put it on my hair, made my hair way worse than it already is.
Yes, most people do really well on it, but some people do not do well.
Well, it's just interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. That
Yeah.
makes the connection.
Yeah.
Let's see what your keto. You could follow a high-fat, low-carb diet or keto.
Okay. Okay.
You might not want to do that if you're APOE or E4, and I think you.
I am. So we'll get to
Yeah,
that.
we'll get to that in a minute. Then there's 4 things here about cholesterol. I don't really care about it.
Let's go to gluten.
Yep, let's go to
People wanna
gluten.
know.
So on the gluten dairy page, we look at lactose intolerance. Of course, you're actually not genetically lactose intolerant. Now, this isn't casein.
Yeah, I have a severe casein
Do you?
sensitivity and allergy, severe.
Yeah.
Like it's for 9 years, it's been on every single food sensitivity test.
Really?
So I just got my results back last week. I only have casein, goat's milk, cow's milk. That's it. It's not severe. Goat milk too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dairy is a
only
no-go.
Only 3.
So I like when I see it go together with
It
the
coordinates.
IgG.
It definitely correlates with Dunwoody's.
Did you do Dunwoody?
Sensitivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And then you've got a peanut. On the combo, we actually look at peanuts. You do not have an increased risk for developing a peanut allergy, for what it's worth. Let's see. We test a couple different gluten markers, about 3 or 4 genes on gluten sensitivity. Of course, you tested positive for gluten intolerance. You do not have that myo9B that we talked about earlier, though. The GI disease results, that's where the myo9B pops up.
Okay.
So you didn't have that one, but you've got probably the other one, like IL, like 21 or
Okay.
H1 to HLAs that we've checked for.
Okay. All right.
But yeah,
It doesn't specifically test for celiac disease on that. Yeah.
no, just predisposition to.
Predisposition.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's all tendency. So if you can catch this in a patient, like, hey, you have this myo9B, we really need to watch this because you may go down a bad road one of these days.
I've already been there.
Yeah,
I'm coming back.
exactly. If we can find this stuff and prevent it,
Yes.
that is
And I know
that
this
is key.
30 years ago, I wouldn't have had 5 colonoscopies and endoscopies and barium enemas and all of that I went through had I known something like this when I was a teenager.
The other thing with the myo9B, I told you my mom has Crohn's and we all have it. I had a friend of mine too. We ran this on her and she had it. And the other thing with this, you get Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, but esophageal carcinoma or some type of cancer in the esophagus. Her mom got diagnosed with esophageal cancer like the week before. So to me personally, I've seen this marker be very true to what the research says. So when we see that, we really need to pay attention to that. And the myo9B is in the back. It'll be flagged like dark blue. The next page, this page goes into some of the habits that we may have when we eat, whether we want to eat late at night, whether we should really stop eating late at night.
This is a great page, by the way, page 7, which you don't have any sample copies of these, do you?
Yeah, I wish we,
Okay.
yeah, sorry.
This is a fabulous page right here.
It's a really cool page.
This is the weight loss eating habit page. This is a good one.
So it's things like emotional eating. Do you eat when you're under stress? If that's the case, we really need to work on your stress level. Make sure you have a healthy relationship with food and with your family, and you have a good support network, because people who gain weight when they go through stressful times, and it's genetic markers that connected to that. Calorie restriction, I really like this one. Whether you're going to lose weight with calorie restriction, some people don't, some people do. There's things we can do like fiber. Opti-lean fiber is an immediate go-to for me when I see that, because it's the fiber expanding in your stomach, you get full faster. So people, it has a hard time. People have a hard time feeling like I'm full. That the signals in the brain are lower in them, so they overeat. So the OptiFiber lean, and knowing this, that they need to back off how much they're actually eating, helps a lot. And even AppCurb works great.
We have that back there.
AppCurb,
Yeah,
we
I
brought
like
AppCurb.
AppCurb.
Yeah, that's a great product for, was it 6 months you can use that at a time? Great product to help curb the appetite.
I have a,
Hold it up.
my husband says something's wrong with me. There's a lot of times I don't feel hungry. And he says, you don't know you're hungry? And I'm like, no. So there is a lot of times that instead of being, like not knowing when I'm full, it doesn't register that I'm hungry until like I get a headache. And then I'm like, oh, I need to eat.
Is that worse in the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, hypoglycemia.
Yeah.
Force feed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Low carb at night. You eating a bunch of carbs at dinner?
Not usually.
Watch it. Dessert will do that. If you wake up and your blood pressure's tanked out, you're going to be kind of not hungry at all, maybe even moderately nauseous.
Well, for the last 2 days, I've been very nauseous when I'm so.
Yeah, watch your blood sugar. And that's something else too. When I was in practice, I saw a lot of type 1 adult onset type 1 autoimmune stuff, diabetes. but especially people who their diets were great, couldn't figure out why their A1C was skyrocketing up, and it was autoimmune. No one ever checked it. So let's keep rolling.
Yeah, let's keep moving.
The other thing here, bitter foods. So a lot of times people have this and they hate bitter foods. If they can taste it, so like broccoli and their vegetables, they're not going to eat many vegetables. So we know, I like to put them on a green drink. Metagenics has a great drink. Did we bring that out? We didn't.
The phytoganics.
The phytoganics from Metagenics taste great. I love that stuff. If you haven't tried it, she's got sample packets probably for $1 or $1.50 each. They're really, really worth it. They're really good. I really like that product. Intermittent fasting too. We do look at a few markers on whether or not you can do IM. Let's move on.
What was that green drink called?
Phytoganics. Here, take one. Y'all can just have one.
Those things are awesome. Love these things. And I like them that they're in the little packet too. So if you can throw in your bag, gym bag or whatnot, especially if you have these markers, you know you're not going to eat enough vegetables. These are the kids that just don't like them. A lot of people run these on their kids, so they know like, oh, my kid's not going to eat vegetables. Next page is just kind of a general vitamin E, vitamin C, B6, B2. These are just markers to look at whether or not we might want to evaluate those with micronutrient testing. These are things Dani can check, or if you just want to take a multivitamin, these are just general markers. And of course, vitamin D is on the next page. We check 3 markers on vitamin D. And then we recommend kind of additional testing. And I'm sure Dani's checking, you are all checking vitamin D.
Yes.
So these kind of correlate with that, whether or not how often you might want to get it checked, whether you should get further vitamin D testing. Then we have a full page on B12. So we talk about general B12 levels. We check methyl B12, whether you might need methyl B12, which is a very potent, very strong form of B12. Some people don't do very well on it. Some people may take it and they may get aggressive and punch a hole in a wall. I've seen a kid cuss out a cop, break a window. Oops, that was my bad. But just push too hard. These kids, some of them don't react well to it.
That's great.
So underneath that section, we've got a methyl B12 sensitivity box. So we might try to predict whether or not this is a problem or not. If we see these, we're going to be very cautious with methyl B12, very cautious with methyl donors like methylfolate. We're not going to push very hard. We might use something else like adenosylcobalamin, hydroxycobalamin, or folinic acid, leucovorin, whatever. But methyl B12 is a big B12. We need it to break down homocysteine. We need it for methylation to occur. We need it for neurotransmitter production. A lot of people respond very well to methyl B12, especially if they're fatigued or tired or depressed. The next one is adenosyl B12. Now, I love adenosyl. It's hard to find in the market. It's hard to keep stable. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's hardest to be stable. But it works really well. People who are fatigued, it works more in the mitochondrial part of your body, inside the cells, that helps make energy, ATP. So adenosylcobalamin is great. It's just hard to find. But if you have these markers, you might try, especially if fatigue. A little adenosylcobalamin in the morning, throughout the day, might fix that chronic fatigue right up, if that's the cause of it. Then we have a whole page on folate. So folate, MTHFR, this is a very wordy page. It's got a lot of data, a lot of info on it. We've tried to break it down for you to tell you exactly what the variation you've got, whether it's compound, hetero, homozygous 677. And we could sit up here and talk probably for a day about MTHFR. This thing, depression, anxiety, infertility,
Heart disease,
vascular disease, cancer.
Miscarriage.
Oh yeah, miscarriage. And I can't tell you how many people I've seen in practice. I was actually in the Bahamas in January, in Nassau. And I'm sitting at this bar eating lunch and whatnot, and I hear someone yell my name out. And I'm with people, I have no idea who I'm. No one knows I'm in Nassau. I turn around and look, and there was a chiropractor I went to chiro school with that had some infertility problems like 2 years ago, and she came running up with this baby. She's like, you made this. And my friends are like, what is going on? And I'm like, I swear, I didn't make it. But she had checked, she's had a hard time getting pregnant and maintaining a pregnancy, and she had this variation, so we switched her prenatal to one that had methylfolate, did a little more, did some additional testing, and next cycle, she carried it. So that was an interesting Bahamas trip. And we actually tell you some follow-up testing here you might want to discuss with your doctor. You know, and we try to make these as easy to understand that you can walk into about any physician and they're going to look at it and be like, oh, okay, let's try it. We might run this. I really recommend going to Dani or someone Dani recommends around here, because some of these, if you code them the wrong way, you're going to get a big bill. Big bill. And then vitamin A, we look at how we convert carotenoids, so from carrots and orange fruit into retinols, which this is a big thing that a lot of eye doctors look at. Retinol is huge for macular degeneration and eye health. Some people can't use the carotenoids and convert them into retinol, so we have to supplement with retinols. And we can check this. So if this shows up on yours, you know, Dani can run a retinol test. Do you have serum retinols?
No,
I
don't think so. Does
Really?
Quest do that?
think they do.
Okay.
Maybe.
What does mine say?
You tested for 2 of the 5. So in this one, we don't have definitive numbers. So I just write it out 2 of the 5 markers that we look at for it.
Okay.
So if you see one with 4 or 5 of the 5, no problems.
Okay.
And vitamin A is huge for the immune system fighting.
Yes.
Huge for it. But it is.
And building back up the gut immune system. I use it a
Absolutely.
lot for my lipopolysaccharides.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love LPS.
Oh gosh, LPS. We'll talk about that in a minute. The next page, we got some inflammation markers. So we check some CRP stuff. The
Okay.
combo panel does check too.
Okay.
These are where we would use curcumin or things like that. What didn't you bring up here? Some curcumin?
I do. I have inflavonoid from Metagenics. Yep. And then I have curcumin from Designs for Health.
Both of these are great.
Yes.
I love these. This tastes amazing. Curcumin valves.
Oh my Lord, they taste phenomenal.
Yeah, they're
I know, sorry. I didn't bring an open bag. I should have.
shame on you.
I went running out.
And it's inflavonoid. I love this part. This is
I love that one. That one's got Boswellia in it, and xanthol humol, and some green tea, I think, and then curcumin and frankincense. It's got all kinds of amazing
curcumin
stuff.
from frankincense.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is ultra inflammix in a pill, right?
You bet it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. Ginger too. So if someone's going to have
Yeah, ginger.
predisposition to increased inflammation, let's check a yearly high sensitive CRP or some inflammation labs to make sure you don't have issues there. And then arachidonic acid. If you have high levels of this fat, you're going to want to offset it with some of the omega-3s like Omega Avail, Designs for Health. This stuff's great. Tastes great. Like,
Oh yeah.
we got to try it 3 weeks ago?
Uh-huh,
Was it 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Denise put some in. Let's keep rolling. And then we have a whole detox page. So some people are more sensitive to organochloride insecticides, which in my opinion, none of us need to be around insecticides ever.
No.
But some people are really, really sensitive to it, and we check that. So it's not, if you don't have this, it's not a green pass to be, let's just spray insecticide everywhere. But some people are more sensitive to this stuff, and we really need to get this out of our system. Some of these things are just awful. I did a lot of insecticide testing in my clients back in the day, and it's everywhere. It's bad. These things are associated with autism, PDD, ADD, ADHD, nasty stuff. Acetaminophen. We check a CYP, the detox pathway in acetaminophen. Some people like Tylenol. This is Tylenol. Some people break down Tylenol a different way faster than some people, and it depletes glutathione.
Mhm.
Now, we have a lot of data in our clinic on spectrum kids, and we have not had one spectrum kid not show for this SNP that breaks Tylenol down. And then correct me if I'm wrong. Traditionally, if they go get a vaccine, you normally go take Tylenol, right? Is that right?
Yes, you do. Let's don't go down that pathway here.
I am not going down that
Okay,
pathway
thank
at all.
you.
But what I'm saying, there are other options besides Tylenol,
Sure,
like Motrin,
sure. Absolutely.
curcumin, ginger
Yes.
tea,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Yes.
So I'm not a big fan of acetaminophen and Tylenol at all. A lot of connections to spectrum there. And then glutathione. So you have whether or not you're going to probably have low levels of glutathione. if that shows up, you just want to get it checked or just take it. I love glutathione. This stuff's awesome, especially, and if you do take Tylenol, do some glutathione, liposomal, or your, no, it's not. Do you? Good. Then we have some estrogen markers. Now, estrogen's kind of, it can be a nasty little thing, especially if it's the 4-hydroxy form. This is a very reactive form. If this shows on you, you might want to get a more advanced estrogen panel. Just doing the standard estrogens isn't going to be enough for you. It's going to be kind of associated with some of the estrogen-based diseases, and I'm not going to go down that road either. You guys know what I'm talking about. But diindole methane works great here.
Dim. I've got it right there beside the.
DIM.
Right there beside the glutathione.
Yeah, Numedica.
Yep.
This is a great product. I love this stuff.
I do too.
It works
I've used
really
that for
well.
about 8 years.
Yeah, even with anxiety, these forms of estrogens can cause some anxiety too. And these things break down through the same pathways that adrenaline does. COMT kind of has an issue here too, so, or plays a role here as well. But if that shows up, please get with someone like Dani and get a more advanced estrogen panel done, because that can save you a lot of headache. We have a new page now on APOE. This
So
is
explain what APOE is.
APOE is a lipid protein transporter. It's associated, it has some connections with some Alzheimer's, neurodegeneration, and some heart disease stuff. But we don't really get into that much. We get more into the diet, what your diet you should be doing here. Some people are a little scared of this. These are your genetics. There's really no reason to be scared of them. Epigenetics are what we want to do.
So we're gonna talk about this,
Yeah, sure.
real quick,
Take it
because
over.
don't be scared about your genetics, right? Because genetics
Right.
is the gun, right?
Mhm.
Your environment is the trigger, hands down. My mother has been diagnosed with dementia. My grandmother died of dementia, which I think was Alzheimer's. So I have been very hesitant to have to have my labs checked. Did not want to know whatsoever. And my son, Jackson, said, absolutely not. Do not find out. Just live like you're going to get it, and, eat well, sleep well, move well, poop well, do all the things, decrease stress. But it's a part of this panel, so I did it. And I thought, well, why not? Why not do it? So my results are an APOE 2-3.
Mhm.
What does that mean?
So you actually have, I believe, let's see, E2. It's more of a less risk for Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it's the wild card it showed on here.
It's one of, so
One.
this gets figured a different way. It's kind of odd how this is figured out.
Okay.
I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that, but
Complicated. But you actually have a decreased risk for it, but maybe some cardiovascular risk.
yes, and so I believe that. So I have a decreased risk. Thank you, Jesus. Doesn't mean you won't get it though, right? So you don't know, but increased risk of cardiovascular disease. And that's a fact. My entire family falls over dead of heart disease. Boom, right in the middle of what they're doing, they die. Right in the middle of Kentucky Fried Chicken, my Uncle Udell. My mom goes, well, don't you remember Udell? Uncle Udell died in the middle of Kentucky Fried Chicken. I was like, well, yeah. And my grandfather was 13. He was the 13th open heart surgery patient in the United States. And then he didn't survive. He ended up killing himself. So he committed suicide, but heart disease. And then my grandfather at 49 fell over dead in the back of the car on vacation with my grandmother. Massive heart attack. So they all just go. Or they have dementia and Alzheimer's as well. So it's a fun combination. I'd much rather fall over right here dead with you than die of dementia or Alzheimer's disease any day. So I have a less, I've got I do have risk factors. I do have risk factors, but less than a 4-4 or a 3-3, correct?
No,
Correct? A 4-4.
4-4 is, you don't really want that one.
Yeah, that's the hardest one.
I counseled somebody yesterday who had a 4-4.
So Jan is in the house today, and she does all of our nutrition and sees patients in the office, and she had a patient yesterday who had a 4-4.
And her mother
APOE.
had Alzheimer's, her grandmother had Alzheimer's.
Yes. So if you don't want to know this, just don't look, rip the page out before you get it, But I think there's power. education is power. I believe that. Now, I was a little nervous and I didn't know. I mean, yeah. And so we actually all found out our results today in the office. So we all know where we stand. So none of us are to blame if we don't remember your name or your face when you come in. It's our genetics. But so this is beautiful the way you've broken it down is what I want to tell people. It doesn't make it scary. And again, it tells me exactly what do I need to do, right? Mediterranean diet, low glycemic diet, intermittent fasting possibly, no refined carbs, low fat, paleo. I mean, it's really quite fascinating how you've done this. So you've done a beautiful job.
And the research is coming out on this like almost weekly. So there's more and more and more. So we're trying to stay on top of it. So
Right.
Some of the recommendations, even on E4, is some of the most up-to-date stuff we found.
But what you have to know is you are not your genetics. And so you cannot, every bit of this, you have to believe this and work this, but this is not your destiny, right? And I think that people get so caught up in the weeds on this, they can't see the forest for the trees. So big deal, I've got a risk there. You know, I've been cleaning my life up for the last 8 years. If I hadn't done that, then I would probably be like, you know, my family in my early 70s or younger diagnosed with this. My next door neighbor is 55 years old and on hospice right now because of Alzheimer's. She was diagnosed at 48 and she wasn't expected to live through the summer, but she's still hanging in there. We've dosed her with CBD oil every single day and her seizures have stopped.
Good.
She ran out of our CBD. So I had some samples at the house of pills from a different company. She had 2 seizures 2 days ago, stopping the liquid. So it's hitting people earlier and earlier and earlier, which is why I think it is so important to know this kind of thing. Not just APOE, all these other genetics,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Totally.
Because it's all connected. It's all connected.
This may be a dumb question, but it's worse when the numbers are higher, right? So if it's E2, or mine's E3, E4. So E3, E4 is worse than E2, E3, yes?
Kind of, but not.
Well, statistically, yes,
Okay.
but it doesn't have to be,
Okay,
right?
I'm just wondering. I just want to make sure I understood. Okay, I'll do.
E3 is what we consider normal, or what's found in nature the most, is E3. But on this one, we really kind of struggle with whether or not we want to do this because it does scare some people. Really focus on the diet recommendations. That's the main thing here because it's such good research on the diet. There's tons of research on the diets and what to do for APOE. Focus on that. Don't focus on the risk factors. Just know that is there, but it's nothing that's epigenetic. You can fix this. You can lower the risk.
You bet.
So, next page. I love this page. Histamine. I did a whole hour presentation on histamine, I think was it last week or week before last.
I think so.
Histamine is one of the other root causes of a lot of issues, especially if you're dealing with adrenal fatigue, things like that, fatigue, headaches, migraines. Oh gosh, it's all over the place. So we checked 2 markers, DAO and HNMT. Some labs get DAO mixed up with DAAO, which is associated with schizophrenia.
Do I have that?
You have no.
No, very good. Woo! Praise
You are
God.
good.
I've got enough problems.
That's not that one. This is the histamine.
Oh, DAAO.
Yeah.
Okay.
DAAO.
All right. Okay. Oh, shoot. I may still have it.
You might. But these disease markers and disease risks, I'm just not a fan of that. I guess I am just not a fan, and we don't report that out. We try. Just we try to tell you what to do. But the DAO, this is a gene or a protein that breaks down dietary histamines. So things like fermented foods. A lot of people highly recommend fermented foods because of what they do to the gut. Some people can't tolerate it because of the histamine.
Right.
So if you've got these, you may really want to caution on the fermented foods.
And I love how you give here's your high histamine foods, here's your releasing foods, here's your symptoms. Yeah, there you go.
What's the difference between a releasing food and a histamine?
It causes your body to release histamine. A lot of the high histamine foods actually contain histamine in it.
So what you want to consume the releasing
Oh
ones?
yeah, Thank you. No, you don't. You don't
You
want to, you want
You want to
Stay away from all
consume the, oh, no, you want to stay away from both of them?
to,
Oh.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, chocolate.
Chocolate's on there.
If you show that, right?
Yeah, if you have it. Now,
So I do not have it, correct?
So that means she's.
I can
fine
eat
with
chocolate.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lucky you.
I know.
now
Probably come back with that.
Mighty sure.
Okay, they're watching live.
there are other things to do. Do you guys make DAO? You can find some supplement companies that actually make supplemental DAO. So if you're going to eat these
Zymogen makes
foods,
it.
yes, Zymogen makes it.
They have a His DAO
Yeah, that product works great.
Yes.
Works great. His
when it's
DAO.
in stock.
Yeah, Danny's got it.
Yeah.
Do you carry that?
No, well, we did. We don't, it used to go back and forth and I
Yeah.
don't do it
I
anymore.
think that,
You
No.
can get it imported, isn't that the one that they can get
Right.
imported anymore?
I think that they got through that import issue now. The company that was supplier got mad at the FDA or something, I think. I think they're back on now. But you can supplement with this. So if you have it, just pop an extra enzyme pill when you eat. And a lot of times it'll help migraines, it'll help female issues, your cycle issues. Estrogen.
Urticaria, itching.
Exactly, yeah,
Yes.
all of that. The other marker, HNMT, I personally don't pay a whole lot of attention to this one. Some people do. I feel like the research is kind of weak on it, but it does potentially increase some histamine levels inside the cells. We have great products for both of these. Dani carries A&I formula, A&I chewables. This has pulled people out of migraines. I've seen it.
Mhm.
You start getting a migraine, chew 3 or 4 of these, and it'll go down. Good. This is a great
That's my
product.
all-time favorite right there.
Absolutely.
I've used that for about 8 years. We had that at Cool Springs Family Medicine. People come from all over to come buy that here. It is unbelievably effective.
I'll probably leave with a bottle of 2 today. I love it.
I do
I
too.
love it. But yeah, so that's the histamine stuff. And like I said, nasal congestion, adrenal fatigue. Histamine is the #1 biochemical adrenal stressor. A lot of people don't realize that. So if you're treating the adrenals and not addressing histamine, you are missing the boat.
Good,
Missing
good.
the boat. Irregular menstrual cycles, digestive issues, blood pressure issues, anxiety. People who you can't fix the gut, look at this. I mean, there might be a histamine issue. A lot of that's oxalate too. Anyway, then we get to MAO. Now, MAO and COMT, the next 2 pages, these 2 pages talk about neurotransmitters and how we break them down, from serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine. I really, really like how this page is set up. So some people have fast enzymes, some people have slow enzymes. Now, we see which one you are. In these, we typically like to see heterozygous, where you got a mixture for you guys. But if you look at it, it says slow. Go down below it, there'll be another section for slow and what that means. And then under that section is the different neurotransmitters and the symptoms that low levels will cause. Or high levels. Because if your enzyme's slow, it's not going to break down your neurotransmitters, so you get a high level. Now, if the enzyme's fast, it's going to break it all down, so you're going to get low. So we all know serotonin because for happy and mood. So if we have a very fast MAO, it's going to be breaking down serotonin. So you're going to have low levels. So we might want to give you some 5-HTP or some serotonin-containing foods. There's some foods that help too. But 5-HTP works really good. St. John's wort. I think we brought some out too.
We have St. John's wort behind you there, but I have 5-HTP as well that I love.
And it's got a little methyl B12 and methylfolate in it too.
Yeah, that's a good one right there.
Great product.
St. John's wort.
Great product. So if someone had a very fast MAO, this would and symptoms of low serotonin that you can see down there. You can see the support underneath it, 5-HTP and St. John's wort. So it's a very systematic way of looking at this and how you might consider supplementing if you have some symptoms. That's how both of these pages are set up. My neurologist friends love it. So then we have kind of just a summary page. This is an older page. It doesn't have some of the newer stuff, but it does just break everything down in just a real quick and easy way to look at it. Inflammation, fish oils, phosphatidylcholines, arachidonic acid, histamine, all the B vitamins, some of the estrogen levels and glutathione. The main things here on this page are what you might need to do. And that's what it looks like. Pretty neat. And then the last pages, this is kind of the raw data. This is the raw data that we have. And that you can dig into this stuff if you want. You can look these up. You can get on different websites and read about it. You can get as far down the rabbit hole as you guys want. Now, we try to break it down for you as best as we can, but if you want to dig deeper, you're more than welcome to. There's so much data. It's kind of fun. I like it, but I'm a nerd. But that's our combo panel. Without going through this, there is a lot on this back page that's not reported in the report, like there we have FUT2. FUT2 is a huge gene, whether or not we secrete human antigens on our cell lining of our gut. If we don't secrete human antigens there, we get some bacterial overgrowth. So people may have to be on things like, I use IG26 plus with these people. I'm actually on this. I'm what's called a non-secretor. And that's what this gene tells us. I don't have human antigens or human cells on my GI tract. But it also makes me immune to norovirus. So stomach flu, I can be around people throwing up all day and I never get it. I'm invisible to it. But I get messed up pretty quick down here. But this stuff keeps me sane. And actually, it's kept me from, I've had some really bad chronic sinus infections. When I'm on this, I don't get it, ever.
Are you on it all the time? Or you just take it every now and then?
Every now and then. Especially if I start feeling kind of icky, I'll just slam back 2 scoops. I need to be doing it prophylactically, I think. A lot of people that have that marker, I usually just do it prophylactically with. And it's the FUT2. And there's a lot of stuff on here. The CBS markers, you get to the breakdown of the COMTs and the MAOAs, so you see which ones are actually there. There's different ones, and different ones are more important than others. So if you really want to dig into this stuff, I'm telling you, you can spend years on this test, just digging into what it means for you. Shoot, that's all I've done for 7 years. But let's see if there's anything else in here. Some of the PEMT stuff, that's phosphatidylcholine. You want to talk about phosphatidylcholine?
No,
I love phosphatidylcholine. How are we on time?
we're out
Yeah,
of
we're
time.
out.
Yes. So,
Oh, hey, we're through
but somebody asked, so we will answer the questions on here, but somebody was asking on there, when they get these results, do you all have support to go over this?
We do. We
Okay.
will help physicians. You can call me. We'll walk you through it. If somebody can't find it, if you're in a part of town where there's nobody there to help you,
Correct.
you can purchase a test review through us. One of our doctors will call you and walk you through it.
Okay.
I think it's $175. It's probably worth it if you don't want to sit through and kind of digest all of this, because
Okay.
this is a huge rabbit hole that you can
Yes,
jump
it
down.
is. But you've taken the best things and put them in that combo panel and broken out beautifully, self-explanatory. But again, if you choose to go down a rabbit hole, then you need more help. I choose not to go down the rabbit holes. So, but if you have any questions, post them up here. We will be selling Chad's. We now are linked up with Chad, and so we will have their test kits right here in the office, and they are for sale, and they're the same price that they're going to have on his website, but I've just been informed there's been a price increase, so I don't know. I have old prices. What are they?
We're increasing.
Okay.
How far, I don't know exactly. We're kind of debating that. Some of them are already up. The detox panel is already at $199.
So is that what? I don't have a detox panel
The
listed on here.
metabolics. It's gonna
Okay,
be
so the metabolic panel is $199. How much is the combo panel?
the combo right now is $250. It's gonna probably go up a lot. So if you want to get it now, because it's gonna go probably.
So today it's $250 if you want it. Okay,
Yeah.
so then we'll post the later. The nutrition and weight loss is $150 past.
It's going $175.
Okay, all right. So that's $175, nutrition and weight loss. Metabolic is $199, and the combo test is $250 for a brief moment,
Yeah, like a day.
as of today. Okay, so that was brand new news to me, so I didn't know that. So if you're here and you want one, that's great, and we're set up with Chad, and you pay us, is that correct? And then, yeah, you pay us, this goes through, you send this off, and then you bill us. Okay, that's how that works. One person in here has a sticky note under their chair. So look under your chair, and you won the kit. There should be. Oh, it's you! Oh my gosh! Okay, well, there you go. Okay, Teresa Greco. That's funny. She's the colon hydrotherapy girl upstairs. Has it. Okay, fantastic. If you have any questions, we're going to sign off right here. Next Friday is Yoni Steaming 101 with the herbalist. So I'm so excited about that. And if anybody wants to learn about that, then show up here at 11 o'clock next Friday. And we appreciate you. There were a lot of people watching. There's going to be a lot of questions. So have a fabulous, a safe Labor Day. I was going to say Memorial Day. Labor Day weekend. We appreciate you guys. And Chad, thank you so much. Thank you for all the work that you've done. You take something so nerdy and so geeky and you make it easier to understand, you know, and I appreciate that because that's the bottom line is if people don't understand it, they're not going to go forward with it. I mean, I believe that, and they're not, and you've broken it down, and I'm thrilled to death. So I'm thrilled to have my results back. Can't wait to dig into it this weekend, and have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, we love you here. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Happy Labor Day.
Can I steal you for a second?
Yeah.
I have a patient.
I have nothing.